Hello everybody! Today we are doing a full face makeup tutorial using my Holy Grail makeup products. I feel like it's been so long since I've done a sit down makeup video that I just felt like I was loving so many products lately that I haven't shared enough on YouTube. And I just felt like I needed to do a dedicated video highlighting all of my favorite products because I would say this summer I've done my makeup and I've used really different products than I have in the past. So I just wanted to, make a dedicated video to it. So if you are new here, my name is Morgan and I have been a makeup artist for 8 years and an esthetician for 6. Gonna be 6 like next week. So makeup is obviously a huge passion of mine and something I'm always trying new products, but these are the ones that I just consistently reach for and use pretty much every single time I do my makeup unless I'm trying something new. So if you are new, don't forget to subscribe if you like me and you like beauty stuff as well as fashion and a little bit of lifestyle sprinkled in there. But you know, we mostly do beauty, but I like to share everything too. And if you do like this video, please give it a thumbs up and do all the things because it really helps me out. I appreciate it. And everything that I talk about in this video today with pretty much everything else that you might need will be linked in the description box down below if you are curious. So let's get into it. Let's get started with the makeup and let's talk about some freaking bomb products. Pretty much anytime I do my makeup, I do clip my hair back with these. It's funny because I get questions about them a lot and they're just like a no crease hair clip. So this is what I use. I'll have them linked down below. So before we get started with makeup, of course, we have to talk about prepping the skin and primer and stuff like that, but I'm not a huge primer person. My biggest concerns are gonna be like if my skin still feels dry. It's pretty rare for me that I feel that way after doing all of my skincare, but every once in a while, I just need a little extra boost. So what I've been using a ton lately, and it's so funny because I've had it for so long and for whatever reason, I just keep grabbing for it. It's the Smashbox primer oil and I literally take like maybe 2 drops, sometimes literally just 1. And I'm kind of like the opposite of most people. I get like really dry in here. I'll put some under my eyes here and in here. It's kind of like my T-zone gets dry where this is all like where people get oily most of the time. Because this product is pretty much made to go under makeup, it doesn't leave you feeling like too greasy, just like a little extra moisture. And I usually take a good amount of time to rub it in. And I will usually do this too if I do my eyes first, because then I have a lot of time for it to soak in. Although I am not going to do my eyes first today. I kind of go back and forth doing my eyes first and my face first. It kind of just depends on what I'm in the mood for, to be honest, or just like if I'm gonna do a more glam eye look, then I will definitely do my eyes first. But I would say if I'm doing like an everyday look or somewhere in the middle, I will do my face first. And to be honest, I don't have like a really specific order that I do everything in. I kind of like hop back and forth in between steps. So hopefully it's not confusing. But so for foundation, I'm going to use the Morphe Filter Effect. I talked about this in my favorites video and I can't get enough of this foundation. It's what I reach for consistently like every single day. This one's more like a medium to full coverage with, I don't know. You guys are just gonna have to watch as I put this foundation on, to be honest with you. I always apply my foundations with sponges. So that's what I'm going to do. I don't know, it's so crazy because it's not like super luminous. It just makes you, it's funny because it's called like Filter Effect Soft Focus Foundation. It's like kind of accurate. And of course, like I am probably gonna look a little bit dewier and hydrated because I literally put oil on my face. If you are someone who's more oily, again, I talked about this in my favorites, but my sister-in-law has super oily skin and she loves this foundation too. She just needs to set it with a powder where I don't really feel like I do. So I feel like it's pretty versatile and you can build up the coverage if you need more coverage. So this product is definitely a holy grail for me, the Too Faced Born This Way. I haven't been reaching for it quite as often anymore. I literally have its own container in my makeup desk for all the colors that I have. I am going to use a little bit today, kind of just to show you. I will just use this for some spot concealing, like I have some sunspots or any other redness is kind of peeking through. I was using this a lot more when my skin was doing really bad, but it's doing a lot better now, so I don't feel like I have to cover as much as I did before. So that's nice. So for under my eyes, I'm going to use the Kosas concealer. This is, again, by far, I mean, I'm going to say this, it's going to probably get a little bit annoying how much I'm like, oh, I love this product so much. Like, hello, this is a Holy Grails video, okay? So I'm using the shade 4.5 for under my eyes here. And the shade, it kind of has like a peachy base to it, so it's nice for dark circles. And as you can see, it's not super light on me. It is obviously when I'm more tan, it's a little bit lighter, but it's not super light right now. So what I kind of do a lot with my concealer is I'll put down a shade that just matches a little bit more for all under eye coverage, and then I will take a lighter shade. This one is 2.5, and I kind of like to stay away from my under eye creases with the lighter shade because I don't want it to get too much product, because that's when it's going to get like cakey and creasy under there. So I just kind of hit like kind of more down here where my eyes are more dark and sunken in a little bit. And I'm just going to blend that in with my sponge again keeping it away from my creases. So I'll blend it like down and around. I talked about this in my favorites video a little bit, that I had the Kosas concealer for a long time. I used up a whole entire tube and then I was out of it. And when I had it before, I only had the 4.5 shade. So what I was doing was my highlighting with the Too Faced Born This Way concealer. Since I have this in a lighter color now, I like to keep this under the eyes, but I will highlight the rest of my face with the Too Faced Born This Way concealer. This is the shade Porcelain. It's pretty light, so I actually like scrape off as much product as I can because I don't really want coverage. I just want brightness. So I'll highlight around my chin and on my forehead, and I'll usually just do like a little strip down my nose. I tried this with the Kosas concealer lighter, but I just felt like because it's not as full coverage, I didn't really see the brightness like I normally do with this one. So I blend out my chin and my forehead with the sponge because it's a bigger area and I don't need that color to be super precise. And then I'll take a little brush for my nose just to keep that line as condensed as possible, because if you drag your nose highlight out too far, it'll just, what I'm doing right now, great, it will just kind of make your nose look wider. And I don't really like do a lot to contour my nose. I just go over this to get rid of the brush strokes, but I don't really contour my nose too much. I just kind of like to add a little bit of definition just so you can see it. Just to, you know, bring attention to the fact that I have a nose and it didn't just go away because I put on makeup. Okay, so now I'm taking the Kosas powder, and before I set down my under eyes, I just make sure there's nothing creasing, because then you'll just set the creases, and obviously we don't want to do that. So I'm just taking this and I'm setting under my eyes, and even though I'm pretty dry and I don't get super shiny, just because of all the products that I use, sometimes they can look pretty glowy, you know, but sometimes that goes a little too far. So I just set any other areas that I don't want to look greasy or oily, even though I'm not. It just kind of sometimes can look that way with the products I use. I realized I made a mistake, so sorry about that. I'm going to put the Too Faced concealer in Porcelain on my eyelids to prep for eyeshadow. Ideally, I would have done this before I used my powder, but I just forgot, so it's fine. And again, just because the Kosas concealer isn't like super full coverage, I like to have that full coverage on my eyelids because I don't want you to be able to see anything through my eyeshadow, because then it kind of just takes away from my eyeshadow, you know? And I like to use the Porcelain shade, the brightest one, because I want my eyelids to be as bright as possible, because then again, the eyeshadows are just as, I guess you just see the eyeshadows better. So I'm gonna lightly set that with the same Kosas powder. And this is kind of where I start to jump around in my routine because I kind of like to do my eyes before I finish my face. I don't know why, but I just do. So I'm taking the Makeup by Mario Master Mattes palette. This is my favorite freaking eyeshadow palette right now. I just feel like it has everything I need. So I'm going to start by taking this shade right here. I just use this shade to set down my lids just to make sure everything is super, super set, and then the eyeshadows will blend out better over top, and using this shade will help keep everything nice and bright underneath my eyeshadows. And then I will usually just hop into this shade for a transition. It's so funny because even though there's so many colors in this palette, which I love that about this palette, because if I ever wanted to do something with like a little bit of a different undertone, I have that option. But these ones that I'm going to show you today are just the ones that I pretty much reach for every single time I do my makeup. So I always blow this shade out a lot in my crease, and I will also kind of start to drag it out this way to give a little bit more of like a cat eye effect, because my eyes are pretty round. Next, I take this shade. This is probably my most used and loved shade in the palette, and I just start darkening up the crease with this with a smaller brush. I just like the tone of this shade. I think it's nice and really warm. I will say that something about this palette is some of these shades that are warmer come off not quite as warm as you would think. So it looks super orangey in the pan, I feel like, but then on the eyes, I mean, it's still like, it's not like it's cool toned or anything crazy, but I just think it's a little bit more neutral. And maybe that has something to do with the transition shade that I use too, but I like the look it gives. So the look that I'm doing today is a little bit more everyday for me. I know it kind of depends on you and how you like to wear your makeup every day. This might be super glam for some people. And this is definitely like, I'm doing something casual, but I still want to look super nice. But I often wear a lot of makeup, so it's not like it's anything crazy for me. So I will go into darker shades if I want to do something more dramatic, but usually I just use these two for my crease, I mean. So then I'm jumping into the e.l.f. Bite Size palette in Cream and Sugar, and I'm going to start with this bronzy shade. And I'm going to start by kind of putting that a little bit more in the center of the lid. I don't like a ton of shimmer on my eyes, but sometimes it's nice just to have like a little glow to it. So I like that these shadows aren't intensely metallic or sparkly. They just, yeah, give like a nice kind of glowy look to your eyelids. And I'm going to take this lighter one next to it and put that on like the inner corner and kind of like blend the two together. So I'm going to hop into the really dark brown with an angled brush. And what I've been doing lately is just like a little half wing. So it's nice because I still feel like you get that winged eyeliner look, like that cat eye type look, without it being like a crazy winged liner. My favorite part about doing a wing with shadows, I feel like I can just take my nail and just drag it through the outer edge of my wing there, and it just kind of like straightens it up and kind of just like makes it more pointy. So like if your wing is kind of has like a not a nice point, you know what I mean, you can just drag your nail through it and it just straightens it right up. Okay, so now I'm just gonna pop on some lashes, and I am gonna use some that I've already used before, so they already are cut down. But these are the Ardell Foam Ink 858. I mean, I know I feel like I keep saying this, but everything's gonna be linked down below, so I'll have these linked down there for you. And I basically just cut them in half and put them on the outer half of my eye. So when I do that, I put mascara on second. Putting mascara on after lashes can affect the life of your lashes because they get caked up with mascara and product and stuff like that. But I feel like when you have a half lash, you kind of have to, because it just helps blend that edge where your fake lash kind of ends and your real lashes begin. These are, yeah, these are by far my favorite lashes of all time. I continuously buy them over and over and over. Okay, my lashes are on, and I feel like since I'm putting on my mascara second, if the lash glue is still wet at all and I go and I put mascara on, it can move the lashes. So what I'll usually do is I'll do my brows while my lash glue is drying, and then by the time I'm done with my brows, then I'm pretty much good to go. So again, referring back to my favorites video, I talked about how this is the first time in 8 years that I've used a different brow product, and the brow products I've been using for 8 years are the Anastasia Clear Brow Gel and Brow Wiz. And I mean, I still love these. I still feel like they're good go-to staple products, but what I've been using is the Makeup Revolution Brow Soap and the NYX Brow Tint Pen. So with the brow soap, I just take any setting spray, it really doesn't matter, and I just spray it right on the soap. And then I take a spoolie and rub it into the product, kind of coating like the all sides there. And I will just start combing through my brows. I try to get as close to a trendy, fluffy brow as I can, but my brows just don't really bend that way, so I do my best. You know, we just try to get them in a good spot here. These types of products, like this brow soapy type product, is definitely something I'm still learning and still working through. So I've noticed that if I drag it too much up and I get it on my foundation, it kind of dries funny and ruins my foundation, so I just have to be careful of that. And I do just take a paper towel and kind of squeeze out all the excess product, because I don't know if you can kind of see, it's a little soapy. So I completely dry off the spoolie and then I kind of go back in and go through it just to remove any of the excess product so it doesn't look like shiny or weird, or like you can see any product sitting on there. Then I'm going to take the NYX Brow Tint Pen and I just start by doing just little hair strokes. Super light pressure and just flicking through my brows in just where I need it. So again, just trying not to go too overboard to keep my brows looking as natural as possible. I know it's kind of impossible for me at this point because of my microblading. This is a bit random, but I get asked all the time like if I regret my microblading because of the new brow trends, and I don't, like, I wouldn't go as far to say it's like I regret it, but I did get a touch up a couple months ago and part of me feels like I wish I didn't, but at the same time I just feel like my brows don't bend and can't be brushed up the same way that other people's can. I don't know, I just feel like I don't have hair in places like out on the outer part mostly where I would need it to have the shape that I want, so I just don't know how it would be without microblading anymore, so I don't know. So I do go through and brush it out a little bit just in case there's not anything like crazy. So now I'm gonna go in with mascara. And this is like a funny topic because I don't really have a holy grail mascara because I don't really care about mascara, because if I want my lashes to look good, I literally am just gonna put on false lashes. So I kind of just usually try a new one and just use what I have as long as it makes my lashes black. That's like my biggest concern. But lately I've been using the Essence Lash Princess and I do really like it. I think it's good. But again, I never, ever, literally never wear mascara on its own. If I don't wear false lashes, like, I'm not wearing anything. And then I'm just going to lightly hit the bottom. I try not to get too much mascara on my lower lashes, but just to kind of cover up any makeup that got on them. I don't like them to be really intense. By the way, I'm really sorry. I just realized there's like lawnmowers going on outside. So I apologize if you can hear that. Sometimes I don't fully know if you can hear that on the camera. Okay, moving on and finishing the rest of the face. I am going to go in with the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. This is kind of just what I use for highlight lately. I've gotten away from doing anything super like intense with highlight. I do it first because I feel like when I have on my blush and my bronzer already and then I go in with this, it kind of picks up my blush and bronzer. But if I go in with it before, then it's totally fine. So you can see it's nothing crazy. It's really just like my skin is just a little bit extra glowy in that area. Another product that's really good for this is the Maybelline 4-in-1 Perfector. It's supposed to be a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury, and it is really similar. So if you want to save some money, I would definitely recommend this, but I do like the Charlotte Tilbury better. but either is good. Then for my bronzer, this is the only bronzer I've been using for so long. This is the Huda Beauty Tantour. It is a cream, so I am doing pretty much all creams today because that's what I've been doing and that's what I've been loving. So, I mean, I have just like beat this to death. I really do want to try other cream bronzers, but I just can't get away from this. So I always use this with the e.l.f. 105 brush. It's just like my favorite brush for this product specifically. I did try another cream bronzer recently that I didn't like, but this brush did not work with it. But I didn't like that bronzer though, so I don't know. But this brush is really nice, even like for foundation or anything like that. Any type of cream products, I really like this brush for. But once I started doing cream bronzer all the time, it's just what I just consistently use this brush for that. I don't know, I just love this. I love the tone of it. I just think that it's not too warm, it's not too cool. It just, I don't know, I just think it's so good. And usually just, I don't pick up any other product. Whatever's left on my brush, I will just lightly go around my nose. Again, I don't go super into nose contour, but just a little bit of a shadow there, nothing crazy. And if I need to, I'll just take my sponge and whatever product is left on it and just kind of clean up the bottom. This is like my favorite blush that I've ever used in my life. This is the e.l.f. Monochromatic Multi-Stick. The shade is in Bronze Cherry. It's just like this burnt, bronzy, red, orange type color. I kind of just think it makes you look like you have sunburn, but in a good way. People were making fun of me on TikTok for saying that because they were like, why do you want to look sunburned? I'm like, I just think it looks so cute, you know? Like when you've been in the sun all day and you got that little like, just like a little toasty look on your cheeks. I think it's so good. And I don't go directly in with it onto my face. I pick it up with a brush, and I will sometimes put like a little bit here and a little bit here just so it's not only color on my cheeks, but that's just personal preference. And I'm just gonna blend out the edges with my sponge. And then I'll usually go back in with my bronzer brush just to make sure. I didn't really pick up any more product, but just to make sure, again, everything's blended and you can still see my bronzer through the blush a little bit. So again, something that's like in a super random order. I don't know why I always do this step at this point, but I take the Jaclyn Cosmetics highlighting palette, and I only use the shade Iced, which you can buy separately now, and I wish I just had it separately except for this whole huge thing because I literally only use that shade, but I bought this before they had the separate. So I just use that shade to highlight my inner corner, and this is just a step that I always feel kind of incomplete and like my eyes don't look as good until I do it. And I also feel like whenever I use another shade for my inner corner highlight, I just don't like it as much. So now we're going into lips. This lip liner, I just cannot express to you enough how this is my absolute favorite thing ever. This is the NYX lip liner in Nude Truffle, and it's just the perfect color. Anytime I try to do something different to my lips, I hate it and I take it off and I go back and I put this on. I kind of like fade in the sides and kind of have it a little bit more blended. And what I did for a really long time was use just like a clear gloss. I still really like that look. I used the Sephora Clean Glossy Lip Oil. It's just clear, and obviously I just freaking said that. And this is really nice because I feel like you can get like a little moisture while still having like your lips looking like they're done and part of your makeup. And sometimes too, like I will just take like a lip balm or a lip mask that I have with me. I do want to mention this since it's a Holy Grail video. The Buxom White Russian has been my favorite lip gloss for so many years. I've gone through so many tubes of this and I continue to use it and keep it on hand, and I still really love it. But lately I just NYX, this is Milky Gloss. This is the shade Milk and Honey. It's just been my favorite right now. So I like the feeling that the Buxom glosses give. Like that cold, plumpy kind of feel, but sometimes it's kind of nice that this I feel like gives me a similar look to the White Russian, but it doesn't have that like cold tingly feeling. All right guys, so that is it. That is the full face of my Holy Grail products, along with really just like my typical go-to makeup look right now. I feel like obviously those two things kind of go hand in hand a little bit. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And I don't really use a setting spray anymore since I'm just using creams. The only reason I ever used setting sprays before was to take away that powdery look. And so now that I don't use as much powder, I don't really need it. And you know, I do feel like it still lasts a good amount of time. Of course, with creams, like if I'm gonna touch my face, it's gonna come off pretty easily, but I don't really have that much of an issue with it. I'm kind of not like a freak about my makeup lasting either though. I don't know, that's just maybe like a personal thing, but you know, if by the end of the day my blush is a little bit messed up, like I don't really care. I don't know. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what your Holy Grail products are and if you've tried any of these products, if you love them as much as I do. So yeah, that's all for me today. I'll see you guys in my next video.